It is August 13th, 2019, a little after 9 a.m. I'd like to now call this meeting to order with the invocation and pledge of allegiance by our council member, Ms. Hennigan. Please stand.
Father, we come to you today first thanking you that we live in a country with the freedom to gather together, discuss things, and make decisions for ourselves. Father, we lift up the citizens of Orange, the leadership of Orange. We ask you to bless our decisions, bless our thoughts. Lord, give us the wisdom to do what's right for our community.
Thank you.
In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Go to item 3, motion. Item 3A, motion finding that the advance posting and notice requirements of Article 8.1200 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Orange, Texas have been met in relation to all minutes and pending ordinances and resolutions on this agenda, and that the reading of such items be confined to the captions as are agreed upon by the ordinances and resolutions. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to item 4, approval of minutes. June 25th, 2019, Orange Economic Development Corporation meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 4B, July 23rd, 2019, regular city council meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 4C, August 1st, 2019, special call city council meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting passes. And last but not least, 4D, August 6th, 2019, special call city council meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to item 5, citizen comments. At this time, comments will be taken from the audience on any subject matter, whether or not that item is on the agenda. All comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes for each speaker. Your comments are appreciated. As the Texas Open Meetings Act does not allow the council to respond to items not listed on the agenda, your comments will be duly noted by the council and forwarded to the appropriate department for prompt consideration. The first name that I have on the sign-in sheet this morning is Ms. Tracy Conyers, Realtor from Keller Williams.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Tracy Conyers, Realtor with Keller Williams. I've been a licensed Texas Realtor now for 16 years. I am a Texas licensed loan officer I was a licensed loan officer around 2000 to 2008. I worked as an executive director for Savannah Housing and marketing director for CDC under the direction of the late Al Price. I'm here today to discuss grants that are available to assist potential home buyers with their down payment. FHA has a 3.5% down payment requirement, and I assist buyers in receiving a 4% grant. These grants are to assist firefighters, police officers, educators, custodians, transportation, plant workers, the employed, retired, and dependent on income, Social Security individuals. I've used my negotiating skills, and the seller has paid all of their closing costs. Even veterans have received paid for their closing costs with this grant. 100,000 times 3.5% is 3,500. Closing cost is 6,000. That totals $9,500. Imagine not having to pay that. 150,000 times 3.5% is 5,250. Closing cost is 9,000, which totals 14,250. Imagine not having to pay that. 200,000, 3.5%, 10,500. Closing cost 18,000, totals $28,500. Imagine not having to pay this. There's also a grant for over income that goes down to a 580 credit score. There's no income limit yet. The DTI is at 43%. We have a complete team of professionals. Myself, we have a loan officer, an insurance agent, inspector, and credit repair company that awards you your one-stop shop location. No banks that I know of or aware of have the grants. Not all mortgage companies have the grants. So I wanted to talk about my next homebuyer education seminar. I've had one in Port Arthur Public Library on August the 6th. I had one at Keller Williams on August the 10th, and now I'm having one here at the Neighborhood Facility Building at 308 8th Street, Orange, Texas, Saturday, August the 24th, from 12 to 3. And I would like everyone to come out. And my phone number is 409-499-8095. Again, 499-8095. It's free to the public, and free dinner or lunch will be served. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Tracy.
Thank you.
And this is the second time that you've done that with us.
Yes, and I
Yes.
host a lot of citizens in Orange recently.
Yeah.
Received that grant.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We need that. Okay, next up, we have Ms. Hillary Gravitt with which is our social media coordinator.
Good morning. I would just like everyone to please mark your calendars. The Orange Convention and Visitors Bureau will be hosting Rumble on the River, which are jet ski races, which will be hosted at the City of Orange boat ramp, which is located on Simmons Drive on August 17th and 18th. The races will begin at 10 a.m. each day, and there will be bounce houses for children and concessions on site. And like I said, the races will begin at 10 a.m. each day, and the races will be on August 17th and 18th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Okay, if not, I will close citizen comments and move to item 6A, public hearing. Conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the proposed budget for the 2019 annual action plan and for comments concerning activities and/or projects to be included in the 5-year consolidated plan for the City of Orange's Community Development Block Grant Program. Ms. Perry.
Good morning, all. This is a public hearing to allow citizens to comment on the CDBG Annual Action Plan budget and any activities or projects to be included in the 5-year consolidated plan. The Annual Action Plan proposed budget was approved by council on May 14, 2019, and is as follows. $67,006 for administration for the 20% cap, $50,250 for public services per the 15% cap, $95,000 for code enforcement, $122,777 for public services. There is a 30-day comment period that ends today, August 13, 2019, at 5 p.m. Comments not received this morning can also be submitted to the Office of Planning and Community Development until that time.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
do we have any comments? Anyone from the public?
I'd like to say that I would recuse myself from voting because I'm a recipient of that money, but I would also say that it's been delightful to work with Brittany. She's been absolutely wonderful to shepherd us all through that process. And we miss Sandy, but it's a great new day. So thanks for helping us.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Are there any other comments? Okay, I'd like to reiterate, we're so thankful to have you and been hearing great things about you. And so I guess we'll go on to the next item then,
Thank you.
okay? So do I have to close the public hearing with a vote or?
This is just a public hearing.
Okay. Okay, so we'll now close the public hearing and move on to item 7, ordinance. First reading, consider an ordinance amending the City of Orange official zoning map, a part of Chapter 12, Planning and Zoning of the 2000 Revised Code of Ordinances of the City of Orange, Texas, changing the zoning classifications of lots 9, 10, and 11 of Block 49 of the Sheldon Addition, also known as 511 10th Street, all in Orange County, Texas, from R2 Medium Density Residential Zoning District to C1 Light Commercial Zoning District, providing for the official zoning map of the City of Orange, Texas to reflect such change, providing for an effective date, providing for a severability clause, repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance to the extent of such conflict, and making certain findings relative thereto. Mr. Knopf.
Yes, sir. This is a rezoning request from Penny Wheeler. She has bought property on 10th Street at 511 10th that was formerly a house, and she would like to convert that house into a cafe and a small retail shop. Now, she owns the whole block, and half the block, the southern half, is zoned C1. The northern half is zoned R2. And in order for her to put in a retail business and a cafe, then she would need for that to be rezoned from R2 to C1, and that would make the whole block C1 zoning district. There was a joint public hearing held on this, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval.
Okay. All right, do we have any comments or questions? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I do have a question. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pass it up.
Go ahead.
Would that still require that they follow the Historic Commission rules for that area of town?
Well, the Historic Preservation Overlay District doesn't change. Okay, she would have to meet all the requirements of the Historic Overlay ordinance, and the Historic Preservation Commission granted her a certificate of appropriateness to
Good.
to make the external renovations. Now, the Historic Preservation Commission, they only control the appearance of the outside of the main structure on a property. Okay, they don't determine zoning or variances or anything like that. Now, I know there's been some concerns among some of the residents, as you heard at the public hearing. And the C1 zoning district, under zoning, when you rezone a property, then any property that's permitted by right can go in that zoning district. And I know some of the residents have some concerns about what can go in that zoning district. Now, you really kind of have two options. I mean, or actually three options. The first option would be to go ahead and approve the rezoning. Okay, that's one option. The P&Z recommended approval. The second one is that you could table this rezoning request, and then we could amend the C1 zoning. We could amend the zoning ordinance for the C1 zoning district to things that are permitted by right. For instance, homes for destitute men and women are permitted by right in the C1 zoning district. Okay, we can amend the zoning ordinance to make that more of a special exception that the Board of Adjustments would have to approve. We have C1 zoning in different parts of town. So any C1 zoning district, any permitted by right can go into any of those areas that are zoned to C1. But you can always, and the council can always initiate amendment of the zoning ordinance itself. And so if you're not comfortable that this location, you know, would not adversely harm the residential area, then you would go ahead and approve it. But if you have concerns that any use allowed in the C1 zoning district, that Ms. Wheeler, you know, say she decides to sell it, which she would have a perfect right to do. I mean, I don't think that's her intention, but you never know. Times change and everything. But she will be able to sell it to someone, and if it's permitted by right, they can put that in there, such as a home for destitute men or women. But if you amend the zoning ordinance, require homes for destitute men and women in a C1 zoning district by special exception, then they would have to go before the Board of Adjustments, and the Board of Adjustments would have to look at that location and say, is that an appropriate location for that particular use? Okay, it might be in some C1 zoning districts, it may not be in other C1 zoning districts, just depends on what's around it. Okay, so what you could do is you actually, the second option would be that you could table this request, amend the zoning ordinance for C1 zoning district to where maybe you're more comfortable in changing some things that are permitted by right to be permitted by special exception. Okay, that's the second option. The third option would be to go ahead and approve this rezoning request and then amend the zoning ordinance after you've approved this rezoning request. So the difference between option 2 and option 3 is option 2, you would amend the zoning ordinance before you approve this rezoning request, if that's your desire. This third option would be you would amend the zoning ordinance after you approve this C1 zoning request. So
If we do it now, or if we wait to do it, is that gonna hold up what she's doing, or does it not matter?
what's your schedule? I think you've got quite a bit of work to do.
But I'm not doing anything that's not basic for that area anyway, so I don't think it makes any difference for me.
And that would, you know, like I said at the public hearing, I would like to get the train depot, Ms. Wheeler, the residents into a common meeting and bring them together, because there's just different moving parts in that area that, you know, I think would be good for, and the city, you know, in that meeting. And, you know, work those out to make sure that we're all compatible, you know, in that area, that what the train depot would like to do is compatible with what Ms. Wheeler wants to do, is compatible with what the residents would feel comfortable with. And so, you know, I think we really need to have that meeting regardless of what action
I
we
agree.
take today.
I
we
agree
should-
with that.
I think we should do option 2, because in that meeting where it was discussed, her neighbors weren't against her.
Right.
They are just wanting to protect the neighborhood, and they all spoke, a few of them spoke and said, we like Penny, we love Penny, we're not trying to hurt her, but we want to have some type of
Protection.
comfort
And
and
you,
protection.
protection.
So-
And you can, I mean,
I
I
think the
agree with
special
that.
So is this
exception
the-
allows for the neighborhood to be protected, but for her business to still
Right.
grow.
So what you
Yes.
suggested,
Pleases
or
everyone.
the alternative, is going to allow both, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
the special exception.
It's gonna
Okay.
allow.
Yeah, it could, or, you know, you could prohibit certain uses that are currently permitted by right,
Mhm.
you know, in C1, but you would prohibit that in all areas zoned to C1. Okay,
Yeah,
there are
certain-
certain uses that in some locations may be perfectly fine, but in other locations may not be acceptable because of the surrounding area. And those are things that the Board of Adjustments looks at in deciding whether or not to grant a special exception. Plus, in order to grant a special exception, we have to have a public hearing. We have to send out letters to people within 300 feet of the subject property so that they're notified that the Board of Adjustments is considering a special exception. So, anyway, let me just ask Penny, is any of your financing contingent upon rezoning? No.
I think it's fine. I think the biggest concern that I was hearing was if I sell, somebody could put something they don't like there.
Like a homeless shelter or something.
Yeah.
And at the end of the
Comes
day,
out wrong. I don't think it's inappropriate, don't do this because I don't like it, but I think for the neighborhood, you could put in like a home or a gun range, nobody's doing that there. But the parking was a bigger thing. I don't have a problem with waiting. I mean, that's my home now there too, not to live, but that's my space. They need to be comfortable with who's there. So if it's contention, it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
I think when you bringing in businesses to a community like that, you have to listen at the residents too. And yes, ma'am, but we definitely, looking forward to, you know, growing on, so and that's a great idea. So
But
I'm
you're-
all for it, but we do need to
What
take
you've
it.
done's amazing. We want you,
Mhm.
period. We want
Definitely.
you. We've got to figure out how to do this. And one of the options, you said we could go commercial and then put a specific use on there. Also have that down as a
Special.
variance.
No.
No.
No, a variance is a legal permission to violate an ordinance. Okay, for instance, say, because the way your property is shaped or conditions of your property, or you can't meet the city zoning ordinances, or you inadvertently build into the setback area, that would be a variance procedure.
A little
You-
different on
you can't use variance.
12.402, so maybe we need to figure out how to stall this part, but we need to make sure we get her moving forward. So nothing we're doing today is going to slow you down. You'll keep on going forward.
That's why I think we go option 2, which gives us a chance to bring everybody in to see what's best for the group.
Can we repeat option 2
And
again?
wouldn't option 2 was to bring everybody in to see what's best for everyone, and then we can address the ordinance or address the C1 and then make a decision.
Exactly.
That's-
Yeah, that's
Repeat
option
option-
two.
Said it
Repeat
would-
option 2 again?
Option 2 would be that you would table this request, this ordinance, any further to a date uncertain. Okay? And then what we would do is I would initiate a joint public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council to consider amendments to the zoning ordinance as they pertain to the land use matrix, which determines which land uses can go into which zoning district. And then we can look at the C1 zoning district, and things that are permitted by right, we may say, maybe not by right, but maybe by special exception.
Okay.
Because we may not want to outlaw those entirely in all C1 districts. There may be some C1 districts that are next to an industrial or C2 district, that it might be a perfectly good location. So that's what we would do, and then we would bring that ordinance, we would get the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, we would bring that ordinance to the council, you would have to approve that ordinance on 2 separate readings, and then after the second meeting on that, assuming it passes, then we would bring this ordinance back to you for the first reading.
So that's quite extensive. You're talking probably 12 weeks by the time you have a meeting, advertise, send out letters. That's pretty long.
Oh, yeah, not that long.
No.
No, not 12 weeks. I mean, you know, we can do this, you know,
Singing jingle.
at the outside 60 days, at the outside.
Okay.
But, you know, this is something I think we would want to move on fairly quickly.
As a resident, excuse me, as a resident of the historic district myself, and as a representative on the council for that, the neighborhood has been talking about this a lot, and everybody is so excited. We really, really are. But we want to do it right. And it'll set a precedent if we do that will maintain the historic district and its integrity in the future, and will also allow our city to grow. So I think this option would protect the historic district to be what it is and to move it forward as well. So let's take our time and do it right. I'm sorry might hold you up for, you know, a couple of months, but for our future, it's a long future, it's a bright future. We're excited you're there. Let's do it right.
Well, ultimately, I think what we want is peace in the hood. You know, we don't want to do something that there's this continual conflict back and forth and everything. So I think by tabling it and then amending the zoning ordinance, we improve our chances at maintaining peace in the hood.
Thank you.
I'll
So
make
is
a
that
motion to
option
table. Two.
Second.
Go ahead.
Option 2?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table this decision.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. Do we need to make a motion on which option? Okay. All right, motion to table. We have first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Knopf, and thank you, Ms. Wheeler.
Thank you.
Item 8A, consider a resolution of the City Council of the City of Orange, Texas, adopting a plan for the construction of sidewalks, including any purchase of easements and placing trash receptacles along part of Sykes Road and part of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, authorizing the interim city manager to apply for funding from the Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program administered by the Texas Department of Transportation and providing an effective date. Mr. Knopf.
Yes, so we applied for this grant a couple years ago. Every 2 years, TxDOT has been coming out with this grant application, and this would install sidewalks along Sites Road and then along MLK from Sites Road to I-10. And so this is a resolution that would give us permission to apply for this grant again.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This motion passes. Item 8B, consider a resolution authorizing and directing interim city manager Kelvin Knopf to submit on behalf of the City of Orange the 5-year consolidated plan and first-year annual action plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Ms. Perry.
The 5-year consolidated plan and annual action plan are documents that outline issues in the community and how we plan to use CDBG funds to address them.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
These plans have been written and, if adopted, are due to be uploaded into the federal system IDIS on August 16, 2019, this Friday. The citizen participation plan was followed. Several public hearings were held at different locations within our CDBG strategy area, the last of which was held this morning during the council meeting. The 30-day comment period for the annual action plan ends today, August 13, 2019, at 5 p.m. Comments may be submitted to the Office of Planning and Community Development until that time. The funding request HUD Form SF-424 and attached certifications are also a part of the consolidated plan and action plan and must be signed and received to HUD by mail on or before August 16, 2019.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Your
I'm not going to
resolution.
vote.
Oh, okay. You recuse yourself.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Resolution passes. Thank you, Ms. Prairie. Item 8C, consider a resolution approving and adopting the analysis of impediments to fair housing. Ms. Perry.
Almost walked away from the chair. The analysis of impediments is a document to address the status of the City of Orange's policies and procedures concerning fair housing practices and identify any impediments found. This should assist with plans for future activities to be carried out to address and reduce impediments to fair housing found in the analysis. The citizen participation plan was followed. Focus groups were held on June 24, 2019 and July 25, 2019 to receive citizens' comments on impediments to fair housing in the city. These comments were used in drafting the analysis. This document, if approved and adopted, will be submitted to HUD through the online federal system along with the consolidated and annual action plans on or before August 16, 2019, this Friday. J Quad Planning Group was approved by council to conduct this analysis for the city on May 14, 2019, and I thank you all for that again. James Gillian of J Quad Planning Group will now give us a brief presentation, and he should have a presentation up there, but I don't know how to work it.
So there's a presentation.
We're gonna have to get Brittany trained on that.
Oh, it's killers, baby.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Good morning.
I'm James Gillian with J Quad Planning Group. I'm here to present the results of the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. Just like the consolidated plan, your 5-year strategy for use of the grant, HUD also requires that you complete an analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. The thought process behind that is that in 1994, HUD enacted a requirement that cities, or states and counties who receive the federal funds would be a partner with HUD in making sure that they make every effort to remove what's considered an impediment to fair housing choice, if you will, as part of their grant strategic planning process. Impediments, sometimes very difficult to explain, so I'm going to give you a short video that will sort of present what impediments are.
My name is Mavis Wilkerson. I have 3 kids, 2 boys, 1 girl, 4, 2, and 1. Kenderick, Kingston, and Kanaya. I grew up in High Hills, which is kind of south of Oak Cliff. It's called Wilma Hutchins. I went to Wilma Hutchins High School, graduated in '96. I was raised by my grandmother. So when with my mom and dad, I was with my granny. Had my first kid at 35, and now I'm 40. So I get up at 4 a.m., get me and the kids ready for our day. Out of the house by no later than 5:24. That's what time the bus comes. It's either 4:54 or 5:24. If I'm on that 5:24 bus, I'm gonna be extra late. So we leave the house, 3 buses to the daycare. Get to the daycare by between 6:20 and 6:30, depending on if the bus late or there's traffic. Go ahead, got it, Mom? All right. Drop them off. By the time I get on the bus to go to work, it's about 6:30, 6:35. I take the bus from the daycare, downtown Dallas, to my job at CVS. I get to work by between 7:05 and 7:10. I'm at CVS, so still late, because I have to be there at 7, but I'm there between 7:05 and 7:10. I definitely didn't plan on being a single parent raising 3 kids by myself. I wouldn't have waited 35 years to have my first child with somebody I didn't think that I would normally be raising them with. But however, the unthinkable happened. I was in a domestic violence situation with my son's dad, and so that's how I ended up in a domestic violence shelter. That is ending come May 31st, so then I'm back to square one with no place to live. So it's either back to the shelter or hope that I can afford somewhere for us to stay. And I don't see that happening, being that all my money is going to pay daycare. So daycare for all 3 of them is $4.15 a week. I can't afford it. It's just, it is what it is. If I continue to pay that, that's my paycheck. And it defeats the purpose of why I'm working, because if I'm paying $830 every 2 weeks and I'm making $800, $700, I'm working just to work for daycare. I can't pay bills. I can't provide for me and my kids because all the money is going to daycare. To get a job that would suffice and help pay rent, pay daycare, I would have to be making $20 an hour plus. It's hard to get that kind of job with no degree, no high school diploma. I mean, those kind of jobs just don't come by like that. And if it did, I would get a car because it would be far north. And it's definitely not going to be nowhere around here, nowhere near where I live. I mean, it's just not. I mean, those kind of jobs are hard to get with the current situation. I'm just looking for help, and I'm just looking for answers somewhere, somebody. My back's against the wall. It's like a rock and hard place. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, where we going to be. And that's the worst feeling ever because I got 3 kids looking up to me to take care of them.
So the good news is that Mavis's situation is improving. The bad news is that we've got hundreds and thousands of Mavises in our communities, this community and all communities. Impediments are just simply those things that impede a person's ability to acquire housing of their choice. So Mavis faced a number of impediments, everything from child care to limited education to transportation, to the overall cost of housing versus and having to make those critical choices. So that's why HUD challenges jurisdictions that in receiving the grant and in programming the funding that you receive, that you consider these impediments to fair housing choice as issues that you will address to the extent that you can. Doesn't mean that in the City of Orange's case, you get a very small grant compared to a lot larger cities. So you can't, in essence, remove all of the impediments that exist, but you certainly can address those. I'd just like to sort of highlight technology to work here. That the impediments that we look for are impediments that relate to either real estate. You had a speaker earlier that talked about the importance of down payment, closing costs, and those kinds of things to support mortgages. Public policies, which can be everything from local regulations, could even be regulations like code enforcement, which are intended to keep property conditions safe in the community, but has an impact on a person's ability to even address those. Neighborhood conditions, banking, finance, and social and economic impediments. One of the major impediments identified within the City of Orange, of course, is concentrated poverty, low income, concentrated public and assisted housing. Like many cities, it faces those issues, and we have to devise ways in which we can really address and improve those areas. One of the things that you might not consider an impediment to fair housing, but the impacts of the hurricanes that have been faced. Jake White had an opportunity to work with the City of Port Arthur and others in developing their disaster recovery plans. So one of the new emphasis, even linked to fair housing, that we emphasize is the idea of sustainability and being able to go beyond just simply repair of homes and damage due to floods and hurricanes, but that we begin to address the infrastructure and those things that are creating the repeat performance of these hurricanes and their impact on the cities. And then things like living wages, educational attainment, job training, financial literacy. There is one particular area in the city, as part of the analysis, we have to identify any area that has concentrated poverty, lower income, public and assisted housing concentration, and then racially and ethnic minority concentrations within the city. The one area that met the HUD criteria within the city, the area, I believe it's called the Pinehurst area of the city. This is an area where it is well over 50% minority concentrated. This area has a concentration of public and assisted housing, and it also has a concentration of lower income residents and neighborhood conditions that are in a state of decline. Again, this is one of the emphasis points of HUD, is that the cities who receive grant funds should focus on trying to improve those areas. So the report that we've submitted to you not only identifies the area, but it also outlines some programmatic solutions to address some of those issues, some of which identify other resources that HUD also makes available to cities on a competitive basis that we thought might be appropriate for you to consider in addressing those needs. So with that, in that, answer any questions that you have.
To see the map of the racial, ethnic concentration as far as poverty, you know, we've been talking about that for a while with other people from outside of our area to help bring in programs such as Ms. Conyers. She has other people she works with, Chantel Newman, Mr. Brandon Ray Johnson. And I think that one of the ways that you combat that is you get people to realize that the power of ownership, the power of getting your credit score right and buying a home and getting off of the system is the way that you eventually get that number to dissipate. So that's what we've been working on, not necessarily as a city as a whole, but a few of us, and they have came over, and like she said, she's helped some people already, but a lot of people don't understand that about Orange, is that our ethnic makeup is very different from every other city in this county. And so the things that other people do in other areas or things that other mayors or councils do in other cities aren't the same here. So we have to be very delicate and we have to be very thoughtful in what we do. So thank you for doing this homework and showing us what we've got going. Okay. Do we need to pass the resolution? Okay, do I have a motion?
Yes, sir, there is a resolution
Okay,
before you.
we have a motion.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Perry. Thank you, Mr. Gillian.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. We've seen your name on the agenda many times, but now we get to put a face with the name. Thank you. Okay, item 8C, consider a resolution approving and adopting the analysis of impediments to fair housing. Ms. Perry, there's one more. Or was this it?
That was it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. 8D, consider a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to execute change order number 2 with MK Constructors for the 15th Street Sanitary Sewer Relocation Project. Mr. Trahan.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Jim Wolf, who actually managed this project. There was a 27-inch sanitary sewer line that basically ran diagonal across what we remember as the Two Amigos project, and at one time was Kobe's from years ago.
Right.
So that being said, there was an existing manhole that basically was able to be abandoned, and it reduced the actual total contract amount by $1,800. So the final contract amount is $259,531, but it does require action on your part to approve this change order so we can close it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Mhm.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Trahan. Item 9A, discussion action. Consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the 2019 certified appraised values and the corresponding reports from the Orange County Appraisal District. Ms. Zito.
Yeah, good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is just a motion to acknowledge that the appraisal district has provided us with our certified appraised values. You'll see them beginning on page 54. But I'd just point out a couple of the important numbers. These numbers are what trigger our tax rates from the tax assessor collector. She uses the values to calculate our effective rate and our rollback rates. But 2019 total market value was $1,507,588,397. So I just looked at last year's just to let you know. That's a 6.22 increase in the market values from prior year. And then the taxable value is $1,091,199,949, and that's a 7.67 increase from prior year. Just thought I'd point those numbers out. But this motion is just to acknowledge the receipt of our values.
Okay, we have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to item 9B. Consider a motion acknowledging receipt of the 2019 effective rate, rollback rate, and the corresponding worksheets from the Orange County Tax Assessor Collector. Ms. Zito.
Yes, so This motion is acknowledge receipt of our rates from the tax assessor collector. She takes all the values, and there's a long worksheet which is included in these, in her paperwork. Starting on page 63 is how she comes about those rates. I've already checked them. I agree with her rates. In the past, we've disagreed and we've come to an agreement, but I agree with this one. So our effective rate for 2019 tax year, which is our fiscal year 2020, is 0.75150. Our 2019 rollback tax rate, which is still at our current 8% cap, is 0.80691. And our 2019 debt rate, which is the portion that is reserved to pay our debt payments, is 0.09999.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion?
Okay, and a second? Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, ma'am. Item 9C, discussion and possible action on the tax rate. If proposed tax rate will exceed the rollback rate or the effective rate, whichever is lower, take a record vote and schedule public hearings. The notice of 2019 tax year proposed property tax rate for the City of Orange, Texas will be published and posted per the requirements of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 140.010. Mr. Knopf.
Yes, sir. State law requires that you establish the maximum tax rate that you will consider for the new budget beginning October 1st, 2019. And before you, Ms. Anderson has laid a statement that you are required to read. And now the proposed tax rate is just right under the rollback rate. It is above the effective tax rate, but this is state law, and this is the maximum tax rate that you will consider. You still have the option to adopt a lower tax rate, and there will be 2 public hearings on the proposed budget and tax rate that will be coming up. But this is something that requires a record vote, so each of you are going to have to vote yes or no individually, and that's going to have to be recorded.
Okay, so I'll make the motion for item 9C on the agenda, and I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.80690 per $100, which is effectively a 7.37% increase in the tax rate, and scheduling 2 public hearings, one on Tuesday, August 27th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. and one on Tuesday, September 10th, 2019 at 9 a.m. There needs to be
Second.
Okay, we have a second, and then we now.
Ms. Anderson, do they have to vote individually?
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll
You need to go down the row, and each person needs to vote.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Pullen?
Aye.
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 Okay, with that being said, the vote is 7-0. Motion passes. Okay. Item 9D, consider a motion approving the parking, use, and occupancy of recreational vehicles and travel trailers on residential property as temporary housing by property owners while property damaged by Hurricane Harvey is being repaired until such and such. Mr. Knopf.
Yes, sir. Since Hurricane Harvey, the city has waived the ordinance prohibition against having FEMA trailers on the same property as a primary residence, and we have extended that several times. Earlier this year, FEMA gave notice to people that were living in travel trailers that beginning March 1st, and they would have to start paying rent. And then as of August 25th, they would no longer be providing FEMA trailers. The person would have to either buy it or FEMA's going to start taking them away. And I have not had any word that I've received that FEMA has changed that deadline. So the question before you is, do you want to extend the FEMA trailers to allow people to continue living in them while their property is being repaired? And I'm not sure how many there are. You have a chart in your packet showing the number of building permits as a result of Hurricane Harvey. Or again, coming August 25th, as far as I know, FEMA is going to start taking those trailers away. So the question is, do you want to stick with it August 25th, or do you want to extend that?
I would like to say something. I received some information from FEMA, and excuse me, I did not bring it, but I'll bring it, notify you of that this afternoon. They have extended
Okay.
that for FEMA trailers, for those that are still, because as you know, there are still people still not living in their homes and still recovering from this hurricane. I am one of them. I'm actually now have begun to try to move back in my home at this time, but I still have a FEMA trailer, and there are still people needing these homes at this time. So we definitely do need to, I feel, extend it, Mayor. We do. So
Maybe to like January 1st?
to
or
probably
so?
January 1st, because I think the time frame, they're giving people till like February, if I'm not mistaken, for this extension. And they are awaiting cities to notify them and let them know that it's okay for the FEMA trailers to remain in their city.
Okay, so do you want to extend it to coincide with the FEMA deadline? That way we don't have to keep bringing this back every
Yes, so
few
I'll
months?
give-
Maybe just to say extended until such a time that FEMA will no longer provide the FEMA trailers or require the person to buy the
think
trailer?
so.
Yes, sir. I
think
Would
so.
that be okay?
Yes, sir.
That's your motion.
Yes, that's my
I'll second
motion.
that.
And I'll get that information to you this
Okay.
evening.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, could we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I'll second it.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Item 9E, consider a motion approving the waiving of building permit fees by property owners while repairing damages to property caused by Hurricane Harvey until, Mr. Nall.
Yes, sir. Right now, we are not charging for building permits as a result of Hurricane Harvey. And again, you have a chart in your agenda packet showing how many we've issued. So council will need to decide whether to extend that or,
Yes, sir, same time frame, I would think. That way, if the FEMA trailers are removed, then that's it, you know?
okay?
Yes, sir.
So same as the FEMA trailers, then just until FEMA, to coincide with the FEMA's deadlines.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
Your motion.
that's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 9F, discussion and possible action regarding necessary business resulting from Hurricane Harvey. Mr. Knopf.
There's no action.
Okay, no action. At this time, I will now move to item 10, recess meeting of Orange City Council. 10A, recess regular meeting of the City of Orange City Council to convene a meeting of the City of Orange Employee Benefits Trust to approve selection for health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, and life insurance for city employees. Okay. So now we will.
You need to
convene
call the meeting to order.
I
You need
will
to
now
call the
call the
meeting.
meeting of order to convene a meeting of City of Orange Employees Benefits Trust. A, 11B, consider a motion acknowledging receipt of and authorizing Trustee Spears to sign the City of Orange Employee Benefit Prospective Premium Projection Renewal for the period of October 1st, 2019 to September 30th, 2020. Ms. Zito,
Yes, Mayor.
sorry about all that. There's a bunch of weird stuff.
This is the acknowledged receipt and to authorize the mayor to sign our renewal from Blue Cross Blue Shield that our insurance consultants negotiated for us. We're pleased to announce it's a 7.9 decrease from last year.
Wow.
And also, just to show you, in my memorandum, I noted that our insurance consultants also went even beyond, and they negotiated a $10,000 one-time payment on top of that for things like employee programs, employee appreciation, health things, so that we'll get that off our first bill. So this motion is to authorize the mayor to sign our renewal.
Awesome. Well, with a 7.9% drop, we don't mind signing that one, right? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 11C, consider a motion approving employee medical insurance renewal with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas at a $2,910,906 annual premium for a period of 1 year. Ms. Zito.
Yeah, this is just the motion to actually renew the insurance, and that's the estimated annual premium.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Before I go to the next one, it really is an honor to be able to find out something like this that helps our employees, because other cities aren't giving the type of insurance coverage that we give here at 90/10, right?
That is correct. Actually, it's gonna be a little bit better than that this year because of the decrease.
Right.
We're gonna pass some of the decrease on to the employees. The city isn't keeping it all to themselves, so,
That's wonderful.
the employees are very lucky. The city takes care of us. And, we have to hand it to our employees.
Yes, they
They're
stay
the
healthy.
ones
Stay
that
healthy.
are healthy and lowered our claims, which allowed for this decrease.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
Thank
wonderful.
you. I just wanted to let that be known by the public that we have a really good, I wish I had the insurance for the city. Okay, item 11D, consider a motion renewing employee dental insurance with MetLife for a period of 1 year at a 6% increase in rates. Ms. Zito.
Yes, our dental has not gone up in many years. And so they came back at, I think, a 15% roughly increase, and our consultants negotiated it down to 6%. We thought that was reasonable.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, in a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 11E, consider a motion renewing employee vision insurance with MetLife for a period of 1 year at a 0% increase in rates. Ms. Zito.
Yep, can't deny that one. We're gonna be happy to accept a 0% increase.
Yeah.
And the employees pay vision on their own. The city doesn't participate, but we still negotiate those contracts to get the best rate for our employees.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I motioned on the 0. Y'all like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Item 11F, consider a motion renewing employee life insurance with Cigna Group Insurance for a period of 1 year at a 0% increase in rates. Ms. Zito.
Once again, we got a great rate, no increase, and this is for the life insurance, and the city does provide that.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion?
Okay, I have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 11G, we will now adjourn the meeting of the City of Orange Employee Benefits Trust. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that meeting is adjourned. We will now move on to reconvene the meeting of the City of Orange City Council. 12A, consider a motion authorizing the monthly transfer of funds from the City of Orange to the City of Orange Employee Benefits Trust to pay for employee-related benefits. Ms. Zito.
Yes, this is just a housekeeping motion to authorize us to transfer the money to our trust to pay for those premiums.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to item 13, reports. Interim City Manager report.
Yes, sir. The city will be moving its offices from the current city hall to the new city hall next Monday.
Okay.
Is when the movers show up. We've actually started moving stuff over there that we would rather move ourselves. Now, utility billing payments will be made at the current city hall through Friday. But beginning next Monday, people will need to come to the new city hall to make their utility payments.
All right.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Any city council reports, starting at my left?
Nothing to report?
I do. The residents at 8607 Martin Luther King Drive, the Simone family, has requested that the ditch in front of their house, the sludge be dug out of it. They're willing to mow it themselves, but at this time they cannot. And then I've got a nice thank you from residents on International and Red Oak in Oak Creek, Sonia Pierce, thanking the city and city employees for the quick response at removing the debris from their ditch. Now they are able to mow the ditch.
I do have something I need to, can I go back?
Mhm.
On Meeks Drive, across from International Apartments,
Mhm.
that's a wood fence all the way down Meeks Drive. I've got a report from a couple people that that ditch needs to be cleaned out as well. There's some big culverts that come from that neighborhood that is stopped up, and so
Okay.
that needs to be addressed.
Which ditch?
It's on
Meeks.
Meeks Drive across from International Apartment, catacornered from the park.
Okay.
That wooden fence all the way down, kind of, it's all kind of trees growing up out of culverts and all kinds of stuff that stop it from draining.
Okay.
Yes.
Just loving living in Orange and in the historic district. Really glad that we are moving forward with Penny Wheeler's, what she's doing and making those citizens happy. They've all been talking about it downtown, so it's a great thing. The boat ramp, oh my gosh. Every weekend there's something wonderful down there. So we're so excited to have that right there in Orange too. So that's it.
Okay. I have received a phone call, and I often receive it regarding mosquito control, the area in the Navy Addition being sprayed. I just want the residents in the city of Orange, Orange County, to know that that is a county phone call. And mosquito control, they're located at 690 Old Timers Road, and their phone number is 409-769-2400. I also was notified that bluebirds, they are in need of the cleats being restored or replaced. And what cleats are the silver, the cleats, and that's where they tie the boats, so the boats don't float away while they're getting out and doing what they need to do. And they did say that's on the city side. So the cleats, they have only 2 left, and from my understanding, Miss Casey Harrell, she's the one who reported that her boss boat floated away. So if we can look into that.
That's county property. That's not city property.
It's not, it's city?
It's
county
it's owned by the
property.
county.
Okay, well, she had said that she looked into it and they said it was the city side, so I don't know. Ed Bluebird.
SRA is working on it.
Okay, well, I'll let her know that.
Yeah.
I'll reach back out. Thank you.
My turn. As per mayor's request, on July 29th, we had the heavy downpour of rain, and at the 4600 block of Oak Valley, we actually have water shooting out of the drain instead of going down. It did dissipate quicker, but I believe there's something going underneath the road, Mr. Knopf, for it to come in 1 hour, start coming and shooting out of the drain. And that's your area, right, Carolyn?
It is.
Is that where what I was talking about, that line there with that street right there? Is that what you're talking about as well? No.
Oak Valley.
It's a different
It may
area.
feed into that.
Different
It's concrete curb street.
Yeah.
Also on Clark Lane, there's a load of dirt just dumped into the ditch. I don't know if it's a contractor's fixing to use it for something, but it's holding water back on Clark Lane, roughly the 2300 block. On to our backwater challenge this last weekend, it was amazing success. I only heard one complaint, but it was multiple. More people wish they would have heard about it sooner. I would like to propose maybe we get back on the agenda, possibly getting banners back across the street, so when we're driving through town, it's a constant reminder of what's going on in our town. You know, Lions Carnival, when you see that up there, you know what's gonna happen on a certain weekend. If we had the backwater challenge up there, I believe we would have had at least a 25% larger turnout, but it was amazing. Anybody missed it, they should have come out. Thank you, Mr. Knopf. I've contacted you on several items, one being the mowing out behind Greenway. It's been taken care of. I contacted you about the off-ramp at I-10 and 62. They were working on it yesterday. They must have had 30 people out there and asphalt trucks fixing that ramp before somebody had an accident. That's all I've got. Thank you.
No
report.
No report? Okay.
Go ahead.
Go back, you want to say something?
So which one?
Oh, yes, great. You may see a little bit different during this council comments, and in our last meeting I asked that it's always wonderful to just say thank you everyone for coming and we appreciate you, but the number of requests that we get that people don't sometimes know how we convey that to Mr. Knopf or to city staff, I've asked that council starts to address some of those in public so that people can understand that we're not just blowing you off or that you are being worked with. They don't get to see the emails and the phone calls, but now if they're heard and orally listened to, people will see that there are things that happen each and every day. Each council member is contacted by somebody. You go into Walmart every day, someone wants to ask you a question. And so instead of that all being behind the scenes, I'd like for that to be sometimes brought forward so the public can know what we're doing. With that being said, I do want to thank you all for being here today. I think that it's a great day in Orange, and that things are continuing to move forward. But we will now have to move to adjourn to closed executive session with deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, deliberation regarding real estate development project proposal as authorized by section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code regarding update on the proposed Chevron Phillips Chemical Company LP project. And also item B, deliberation regarding personnel matters pursuant to chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, deliberation regarding personnel matters as authorized by subsection 551.074 involving the city manager search. At this time, you may step out and you can hang out in the library, and we will reconvene and we'll let you know. Thank you. We will now reconvene in open session and move to item 15A, which is take action as necessary regarding items 14A1 and 14B1 above. For 14A1, there is no action to be taken, but for 14B1, it's deliberation regarding personnel matters involving city manager search. Do we have a motion to move forward in the naming of a sole candidate for city manager?
Mayor, I'd like to make a recommendation to accept Mike Koontz for the position of city manager in the great city of Orange, Texas, as a sole final candidate to finalize proceedings between Mr. Koontz, our staff, and SGR. And we welcome to the city of Orange.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. On to item 16, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.